The Supreme Court is poised to hear arguments tomorrow on whether buffer zones around abortion clinics violate protesters' rights to free speech. This comes as the court declined yesterday to hear an argument to reinstate Arizona's ban on abortions after 20 weeks. Ilyse Hogue is the president of the National Abortion and Reproductive Rights Action League, NARAL. NARAL's annual Who Decides? The Status of Reproductive Rights in the United States report just came out a few hours ago, and it gives America an overall grade of D for support of reproductive rights. Let's start there, Ilyse. What's happening right now in this country according to your findings?
You know, what we're seeing is a political trajectory, particularly at the states, that's just completely out of whack with where the American people are. We live in an overwhelming pro-choice country. 70% of Americans actually believe that Roe is the right decision for America and that they support women's reproductive freedom. And yet, increasingly, we're seeing an uptick in state houses passing regressive laws that restrict women's right to choose, makes it harder on them. And it's, you know, we're going to see a tide turning, and we're already seeing the tide turning because it's just too far outside of the mainstream of where America is.
What's behind this uptick that you just mentioned?
You know, it's really interesting. I think a lot of it is that we're seeing state houses actually having been seized by Tea Party extremists who are sort of obsessed with the idea that women's reproductive freedom needs to be taken back to the 1960s. And, you know, what we're seeing is that when that's put to the test, when they're forced to own the decisions that they're making legislatively, they lose at the ballot box. We saw that in the Virginia governor's election, which is really important when we have 36 governors up for election in 2014. And we certainly saw it in Albuquerque, where voters resoundingly defeated an abortion ban, the first one at the municipal level.
The Supreme Court, as you know, has not taken up an abortion case since 2007, I believe. Is that a good thing or a bad thing for your organization as far as it's concerned?
You know what? We think the law as it stands is critically important to protect women and doctors. It is not such distant history where we have seen doctors killed, in the case of Dr. Tiller in Kansas, in the pews of his church. The anti-choice movement has a very long history of extreme violence and harassment towards women, and this buffer zone has been critically important to keeping women and doctors safe. So we seriously hope that the court is going to decide in favor of women and doctors and not with the anti-choice extremists on this one.
Ilyse Hogue, NARAL president. Ilyse, thank you so much. Cruise
Thank you.
ship safety.